Hello and welcome boys and girls. Today you join me for a list of 8 tricks that are going to break you out of beginner skater prison. Now, I've done this style of video before with a bunch of different tricks, but this one is the very base level, ground floor, starting with number 1, the hippie jump. So now you may know that on this channel before I've taught stuff like the body varial 180, which is essentially a hippie jump as well, but your hips turn and you swap stance. However, with this one, it's actually even easier than that because I've been racking my brain trying to think of the easiest possible tricks to get people started. And this is definitely in that first ballpark, that first beginner area. So all you have to do is keep your feet nice and spread apart. Ideally, have one foot on the back bolts, one foot on the front bolts, bend your knees, keep your shoulders in line with your feet and your knees, and then just do a little jump, aim to land back where you started. You don't have to jump super high and like try and bring the knees straight up like this because you're going to have a bit less balance when you land. So just start small and aim to land with your feet flat again. And then we'll try it moving. So we're going to start super slow at first and then just give it a little. And you can also do it riding backwards. The higher you jump, the more impact and less stability you're going to have when you land. So just start small, feet spread apart like I said. And when you land, bend your knees for extra stability. One thing you do need to watch out for with this one is with the tail, make sure that when you're jumping, you're not jumping off of the back leg while it's on the tail, because if you do that, you're going to have a half-ass ollie come up and it's probably going to do you more damage than it's going to help. So feet in the middle of the board, on the bolts ideally, jumping up, landing back down, and moving on to trick 2. So this next one is great for gaining speed and momentum and also just board comfort while we're training, and this is called the tic-tac. Essentially we start stationary, standing still. The idea is to gain speed and momentum moving whichever way you want to go, ideally forward. And how are we going to do that? With our hips and with our shoulders. So we start off by moving the board left, right, left, right. Think of it like tick, tack, tick, tack. Now it's very common at the start when you're trying to learn this that you don't really get any momentum, you don't go anywhere. So like very common for a beginner to be standing here and just going and not really be making any momentum. And that's because your weight or too much of your weight is on the back leg. What you have to do is use your hips to swing the board, like swing it into your left momentum, swing it into your right momentum, and use your shoulders to lead the way like this. And you almost throw your weight into the movement itself. So you're like, throw my weight into that one, throw my weight into that one, throw my weight into it. Obviously you're not trying to like throw so much that your body is going to want to tumble forward, just enough so that you've got a nice bit of weight on your front leg. So start stationary, use our hips, our shoulders, make sure you keep an eye on both. We can gain speed and momentum from that very quickly. Let me start back here and show you it from a wider angle. So literally just standing on the board stationary as we do. For the foot position that I haven't touched on yet, it is good to have your front foot a little bit further up the board, but your back foot is obviously going to want to be on the tail, so you've got the control to do that. So other than that, hips, shoulders, feet where I told you, and use your momentum of your hips and your arms to gain speed. It's great for getting out of dodgy situations. Like say for example, I do an ollie and I land like this. Then I can tic-tac and recover myself back to normal. Let's say I land a bit of a dodgy shove it and it's not quite 180. Then I have to go to get my momentum and speed back in shape. That's the tic-tac. On to number 3. Next up we have the ride to fakie. If you don't know what fakie is, it just means you're riding backwards. So self-explanatory, right? For this, we're going to need a tiny ramp or just something very slightly inclined that we can ride up and then come back down again. Coming down backwards can be a little bit scary, a little bit daunting, but trust me, just keeping your weight balanced, leaning on your front foot a little bit, just a little bit, because obviously if we lean too far on our front foot, the board can go that way. So just a little bit of weight on the front, a little bit of weight on the back, evenly distributed. Bend your knees when you go up the ramp and then release them back to straight as you come back down. So like this. One slight push, bend your knees on the way up and bend your knees on the way down. That's pumping, which we're going to cover later in this video, but for now, we're just aiming to ride up and come back down and survive. That's literally all we need to do. So just push, pump up, pump down, but don't worry too much about figuring out exactly the timing of the pump yet, because we're going to cover that towards the end of this video. But for now, literally just take a push, ride up, ride down, and see if you can ride fakie and just take your foot off and stop when you need to. Another great way to get out of fakie is ride up, turn your shoulders so you're facing forward again, and revert the board. I've taught this in many videos before, but it's simple. Just revert and you're back to facing normal. Riding to fakie is a really simple one. It's more of a trick that you just have to try and figure out through trial and error, instead of me actually just giving you like a hack to do it first try. So yeah, just do what I've said there, work on it, and let's get on to 4. Okay, for this next one, we're going to be looking for either a small quarter pipe like I just did the last one on, or a very mellow bank. And that is because we're learning the kick turn here. A kick turn, if you didn't know already, basically, if we stand on the board in the middle of the floor and turn ourselves around, which is a lot of people's first trick or maneuver in skateboarding. So we're going to use our shoulders, turn them the way we want to go, use our hips by lifting up a tiny bit of weight off this leg, like this. At the same time, turning those hips to face the other way. So lift up off this leg, and all of a sudden we've turned around. You can do the same in fakie to get us back to normal. Once you can do that, and to be honest, even if you don't want to do that first, you can probably still do the kick turn. So this one, we're just going to go up the ramp forward, turn ourselves around so that we're coming back down forward again, just like this. Up the ramp, bend your knees, turn, and down again. It's way easier than it looks, and will be one of your first tricks for sure. So up the ramp, turn, and down again. Up the ramp, turn, and down again. You can go the other way as well, but the other way is definitely a little bit harder because it's the way your back is facing. So focus on this way. All right, another one that we're going to be using the ramp for, and this one isn't necessarily the complete form of the trick, it's just a good thing to get practicing early so that we know that we can get it a bit later on. So we're going to be warming ourselves up with something called the staple gun here. So basically, you go up the ramp, put one leg up, the back leg stays at the bottom of the ramp, and you just kick the board forward like this. It doesn't have to hit the coping at first, but then once we're here, we just need to lift this leg up as this board is coming back towards us. That's going to be the scariest part at first, especially if you hesitate on it like that. So try and do it quick. Because like that, it's nowhere near as scary. And just be careful to not hit the coping at first. Once you've trained it enough though, and in a future video, we're going to cover the actual staple gun. But in the future video, we'll cover a proper one and it'll look like that. So just for now on this one, literally tiny bit up the ramp, push the board up with your front leg, bring it down, step back on, bend your knees for stability. All it takes other than that is just practice, 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 grind it out, get this trick done, and trust me, once you get it over the coping as well, it's going to get a lot of people on letters in a game of mini ramp skate. So get onto that. So for this next one, you're going to want to be super brave and comfortable riding the board. This might not be a first day thing. It could be a first week. It could be a first month. It might even be a first day, but a lot of people, myself included, hesitate with this one and put it off because it's kind of scary, right? And that is dropping in. Finding something like this, it's like 3 feet, it's probably the perfect ramp because 3 feet's not too small to the fact that the transition's really aggressive and whippy, but it's not too big to the point where it's too scary for most people. So 3 foot is kind of perfect. Something with a coping is all you need, really. And then once we're here, it really is as simple as just putting weight on the front foot, leaning into the ramp, and not being scared to fall. Everybody falls on their first drop in, pretty much anyway. It happens to all of us. It happened to me. It's happened to all my friends. So you just have to be brave with this one. Although we are going to break it down. So let me get into the ramp and I'll show you how to open that door. Let's go. So with the drop in, it really is as simple as putting your tail down with your back foot like this, putting your front foot just before the front bolts, putting weight onto this leg, quite a lot of weight, more than you think you would need, because it's better to overcompensate and lean more on the front leg than it is to undercompensate and lean more on the back. So make sure you stomp this leg down, bend your knees and lean over the front wheel. We're leaning over the front wheel. Keep that in mind. So like this. See how my weight is on this leg that's over my front wheel? That's where you want to be. The last thing you want to be is dropping in with your weight back here. Nothing worse. Make sure you have your weight over that front leg. So start off by finding a ramp that's dead small. This one is a little bit too steep, but it's just for demonstratory purposes. So we put the board on it like this. Ideally, you'd have more stability, but this ramp is quite steep, so just bear in mind that. But yeah, once you're here, just put that front foot on the board, and that is your drop-in. Practice it on the small ramps. Do it 1,000 times on the small ramp till it becomes so easy, so trivial, you don't even have to think about leaning on that front foot. And then as soon as you're ready, you want to find the one with the coping again, put the board on it, maybe ask another skater or a parent or something to stand at the bottom just so you have a bit of confidence, because it is very easy to catch someone if they do fall on a drop-in. So it's good to have a little bit of a safety measure there. But otherwise, exactly what I told you, weight on this leg, put it over the front wheel so your body weight's over the front wheel, and then just lean into the ramp and stomp it. On to the next one. Okay, this next one has many names. One of them the cigarette flip, but one of them that I usually call it is the vanilla milkshake. So board goes on its side like this. This is a great little thing, like for example, if your board like falls in the park like this, it just falls down in that position. You can walk up to it, give it one of those to get back onto it, and you just might turn a few heads. But yeah, board, grip tape facing away from you. So you want to have the graphic. By the way, brand new escapism graphic, there's like 7 or 8 different colorways, so grab them while you can. I'm pretty sure they're going to sell out fast. But yeah, grip tape facing away from you, right there, right there. Our back foot, which for me is this one, back foot right there, that goes in front of the grip tape. So your heel, where the board starts to concave, so like right here, where the tail reaches its dippest point, that is where our heel is going to sit. Because our heel is going to capture that point, and that's what's going to scoop it round and give us that nice. So I'll show you in full speed of 1 foot, which by the way, you can practice it with 1 foot just fine, like this. Once you've got that, which is way easier than it looks, we can try and jump onto it as well, like just like that. The vanilla milkshake is one of them ones where it's easy, but it can give you a couple of shinners when you're trying it. So just practice it, and when you're ready to jump onto it, and hopefully you should get one of those. So the final nugget of information I'm leaving you with is how to pump, because it's one of the most important things that you can do in skateboarding. And basically what it is it's just bending your knees on the way up, bending them on the way down, and using that pump of your legs to gain speed and maintain speed without having to like push in the middle of a mini ramp or a half pipe, right? So let me take one push and I'll show you how I can pump and gain speed without having to keep pushing. So I'll do one, pump on the way up, pump on the way down. Watch how my knees do it. They bend on the way up, straighten at the top, and bend on the way down. We'll put slow-mos on screen as well. So bend on the way up and bend on the way down. Your legs are only straight at the top of the ramp. So bend on the way up, bend on the way down. And it's the same for doing it in fakie. So in fakie, bend on the way up, bend on the way down. Bend on the way up, on the way down. On the way up, on the way down. And with that, all you need to do now is add the practice, the hard work, the commitment, and just watch the slow-mos of me pumping up and down, because that and exposure therapy is how you get good at it, and getting good at this is going to level up your skate game massively. My name is Webbs. This has been 8 tricks to break you out of beginner skater jail. Don't forget to pick up an escapism skateboard at escapismskateboards.com, and I'll see you in the next one.